Hello there, and welcome to yet another SOMP Saturday. Glad to be with you all again, and this episode is going to be pretty awesome. For those who have been following along, we have separated our ACOLYTE review episodes and our regular SOMP Saturday topics. But this SOMP Saturday episode, is our ACOLYTE finale review session. So buckle up. Major spoiler alert, obviously, for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, question mark. That's what we're talking about today. So
go home and rethink your life.
Yeah, basically.
No, totally.
Lots of music stuff we're going to talk about, and just general lore stuff. So get ready. So some housekeeping up front. This is Ashton, Sherritt, one of your co-hosts over in Florida. Sitting here at a decent hour of the evening, recording with my other co-host, Tim the Greasebatch, all the way in Germany. It's like, you guys, it's like 3 a.m. for this dude.
It's 2 a.m.
2 a.m. It's all the same at that time of night. So
the Greasebatch is delivering for you.
The Greasebatch is here for you always.
So we didn't manage to air the final episode last week for Earthish dumb reasons.
Yes.
And we tried to keep it, to refresh it in our minds, because it feels like a while ago that we've seen it.
Right. It's only been like 10 days or something. Like,
no.
Yeah, I think so.
8 days.
At the time of this recording. Oh yeah. Because we have some crazy time difference. Yeah, 8 days. Yeah. So at the time of this recording, it's like it's only been a week, but it feels like it's been a month or something. Like so much has gone on. We didn't get a chance to like crank out an episode the day of like we have been. And we were talking about it and we kind of figured, you know what? Like this is fine. Like it's the finale. So that's it. Right. And let's kind of let the storm pass. Let's let people get their thoughts out there and just kind of let the dust settle. And here we are. You want to recap last week's episode?
What was last week? Last week was John Williams's.
No, actually.
No?
It was Darth Sidious.
Oh yeah, time is running so fast.
It's crazy, dude.
It is crazy. Yeah.
Like we're cranking out these episodes, and it's like, where's the time going? It's kind of wild. But yeah, John Williams was already 2 SOMP Saturdays ago.
That's a good way of measuring time.
2 SOMP Saturdays ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last week was our Emperor Palpatine deep dive. Pretty awesome. If you haven't listened to that, definitely go check that out. And I mean, speaking of the John Williams episode, go check that out too. If you haven't, that one.
Yeah.
I think honestly, that might be my favorite episode so far.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one. Yeah.
It's a really good one, dude. So everyone go check that out. Learn some stuff. John Williams appreciation. And for last week's episode, check out I don't know if we would consider them memes, but check out the images that I made. And we posted on Instagram. Yeah.
Of doing them. They're great.
Stupid amount of time for such a low effort memeage. And we got a kick out of them. So check those out.
It is so weird because it is somehow a deep dive, but at the same time it's just a scratch on the surface of everything, because
I know
everything is so rich of
I mean, I guess with everything with Star Wars, it's like you get done with the deep dive and you're like, oh wait, I just opened like 10 more cans of worms,
Yeah. So we'll get back to some of the stuff we talked about already again, I think at some point.
Yeah, I think so too. Plenty of room for all of that to come back, to circle around. So should we go over a musical experience of the week, or should we skip that?
For me, it's just I've been exploring slowly the full soundtrack from the ACOLYTE.
Cool.
Which
Super
is
cool.
Dude, it's 3 hours and 48 minutes of music.
It's almost 100 tracks, everyone. Like,
yeah, it's 94 tracks.
Like, that's insanity.
It is so insane. And I've started to listen a few seconds ago to the like the music for the for the final episode, and there was some. It's just almost everywhere you skip in, you find little nods of sound or orchestration to John Williams, and it's embedded so well, and it is so well done.
Dude.
And I'm so grateful for Michael Abels.
Seriously, man, it's such a treat,
joy. Yeah,
and a joy to have this score. Like, it's so good, and I think hopefully the direction that they'll continue to go in, like there are some niche projects like Skeleton Crew. I wouldn't expect that to have a John Williams sound for some reason. I'm expecting, it's probably because of the marketing. I'm expecting like a Stranger Things vibe,
Yeah. But
like synths
it's
and
more of a
stuff.
side quest.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas the Acolyte, this is ties directly into the prequels and everything. So,
I have to do a little shout out on this point, I think, because I've been listening to the one of the latest episodes of our friends from the Star Wars sessions,
oh yes,
and they've been talking with Ken Jenkins, who is I forgot his exact
his username.
no, his post in Lucasfilm and ILM and in the
Oh,
his work. He was doing a lot of production design. Oh, it's something
yes,
like this.
like set design and
Set
also
design,
some
yeah.
concept art as well.
Yeah,
Um,
tons of
yeah.
concept arts, and he worked on the sequels and on the Acolyte as well. And if you're struggling with this with the sequels or the Acolyte, this guy has very valuable insights. And if you have an open mind, go check that out. It's a very good talk, and you get a sense of how much work this actually is to have it on our screens. And to take this step back is the best thing you can do when you're struggling with something.
Yeah.
Because everything is so well done, and it is okay to struggle with like storytelling or anything, but it is so carefully done, and we should be grateful for this in general.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone, that's Star Wars Sessions podcast, the latest episode at the time of us, recording this. So yeah, go check that out for sure.
And he said it was pretty interesting, like coming back to the Acolyte, what he said. He had to invent like a whole new Star Wars, actually. If you take out the lightsabers and the Jedi, there's nothing seen before. No droids, no everything. And it's such a hard job to do, and this, for me, it feels totally right.
Yeah,
like how
totally.
The world is created, how it's like from a technological point of view, if just a century earlier than the prequels,
right.
And it feels so, surfing on this feels so right.
Yeah, it still fits into like the Ralph McQuarrie concept, yeah, totally agree. Sick. Well, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, dude, so many good shows out there, so many good podcasts with great content in the aftermath of the finale, like the Wampus Lair. They had a great talk. Mortis FM had a great talk. Beyond the Dune Sea, Sky Talkers podcast. Their conversation is actually the most profound for me personally. They had some pretty cool insights of things that I have been thinking about after the finale, but just haven't been able to like articulate, and they were like, yeah, they just like nailed it right on the head, that one. So yeah, so many shows, man. So it's an honor to be a part of the Star Wars podcasting space with our little, niche of things, more music oriented. Speaking of which, my musical experience, this ties right into our talk today. My musical experience of the month was I got to have a conversation with Michael Abels himself on
Sweet.
Instagram.
Sweet.
Yes. Um, just totally awesome. Just a really quick conversation, but I shared Amanda's story right before the finale. This is all like hours before the finale dropped, and tagged Michael Abels. And I just said, like, can't wait to see what Michael Abels does in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I see a story mention, and I was like, oh, like he shared my story to his story. Like, that's awesome. And I was just like going about my business, and then checked my inbox, and all of a sudden I see Michael Abels is in my inbox. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so yeah, I clicked on it, and because I've been tagging him in all of my breakdown
Mm-hmm.
videos that I do for Acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
He's been tagged in all of them. And so he basically was just saying, I'm glad you're enjoying the score. And then he said, um, I'm excited for you. He said something along the lines of, I'm excited for you to hear the finale, stay until the very end. I
Mm-hmm.
think, and he says, I think I've done, you know what? Let me pull it up. I screenshotted it. This will be
It was
better.
something like he tried to get the same mood for the end credits, like proper Star Wars end credits, right?
Yes,
Something like this.
he said the finale episode has what I hope is a very traditional Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
end title. And then he said, keep up the good work.
Oh man.
And I was like, yes,
Yes! It's
like
working! It's
r-
working!
exactly. Like he has been seeing my stuff, you know? Um, that's just like such a cool feeling. So,
Mm-hmm.
I just like I made sure to like tell him like I am truly like enjoying it, like loving breaking all of your stuff down. Um, and can't wait to listen to what you've done like with the finale. And then after the finale aired, I messaged him again, and he was just like, thanks and so forth. So that was just that was just such a cool moment.
This is surreal.
Absolutely surreal. And just that's my musical experience of like the month. So huge shout out to Michael Abels. And yeah.
You should print those out and hang it on the wall, actually.
I have thought about it.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, that was just so cool. But I guess that leads perfectly into, let's start
Yes.
talking about this
Yes.
this dang finale, man. I should have gotten clips of this, but it's okay. Let's talk about the end credits really quick,
Yes.
and then we'll go back through. So the end credits, we have our three movement structure like we have had for like all of the end credits.
Not all,
Um,
except for
Most.
the last one.
Yeah, episode 8, right?
The seven,
Or
seven,
sorry,
seven.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
7. Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, so all of them except for episode 7 have had this like three movement structure to them. So this one did, which is cool. Um, the first movement, very asteroid field
Mhm.
vibes to me, like very.
Actually, the title, there is a title which says another asteroid field.
No way. What?
Yeah, yeah. It's track 83. It
Oh,
says
well,
another
that might
Star Wars
be during
asteroid field
the chase scene.
of Soul. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So which it could be the same music from that actually,
Hmm.
which would be super cool,
But I like to
Um,
to read the titles of the cues,
yeah,
and they are it's always sneaking around what it's actually about,
right.
and I like that very much.
Yes. No,
But
totally,
yeah,
dude.
go on with your
Um,
breakdown of the movements.
yeah. So yeah, there was that like very asteroid field vibes. Um, there's a rhythmic cadence in that's the same as the Star Wars main theme. Actually, it's
Yes,
like bum
yes.
bum bum bum
Mm-hmm.
bum. It's like that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing in
Dun,
there.
dun, dun, dun. Yeah,
Uh-huh. So that was cool. And then but that cadence, so it's that like rhythmic cadence, but it's the
yeah,
acolyte
yeah,
theme
yeah.
that we get. Um, and then after that we get the Power of Many song. Um, which is interesting to have that.
It's from the Ascension, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool to kind of hear that again. Very interesting placement.
It breaks down because it's very spare, like just in voices.
Yeah.
And then it builds up again.
Mm-hmm. And then we get movement 3, which is the whole entire movement 3 of this end credits, which actually it would be the last track. It says the power of many / end title, right? So that end title portion of that track, everyone go listen to that. It starts out with like this really return to Tatooine vibes. Very prequels nostalgic. And then it ends with, dude, it's so sick. It ends with the OSHA theme, but reharmonized in the most like passionate way possible. The recurring theme that we've gotten throughout the show, which we've talked about 1,000 times on this podcast, we get that playing, but it morphs into it's OSHA's new theme, which we heard in episode 6. You know, like that violin thing, and but it is reharmonized and soaringly beautiful, like so good. And then it crescendos in a way that's very, like Michael Abels was right, and like totally got what he was talking about. Very Star Wars end titles esque. You know, and then the whole thing ends with just like these nasty hits on like this really dissonant chord. So that end title sequence, so like movement 3 of this end credit sequence, is just what a finale musically. Like it is just awesome.
So I have to share from a musical journey of this whole soundtrack. We had in an earlier end titles, we had this folky dancey-ish theme, which is actually the theme for the Bunta Tree.
Dude, I have so much to talk about the Bunta Tree. Maybe not on this podcast because I haven't actually had a chance to dig in.
Yeah, we will do a separate complete Acolyte episode.
Yeah, and it might end up having to be several, you know, or we can just do like a big mega one. Maybe we do that, but yeah, there is so much to talk about the music surrounding the Bunta Tree. That's actually, I'm hoping next week. I'm hoping on doing a few Instagram breakdowns on my page, and then that, you know, usually after I do a breakdown, I have all of the ammunition ready to go to like actually talk about it properly. You know, so
yeah, sure.
So yeah, dude, so much to talk about.
Yeah, it's another story. What's that? No, another time, another story. So there was the end titles. I feel that I want to talk about some of the lore details that we got. So obviously we saw Darth Plagueis.
Yes. Looks phenomenal. Looks totally phenomenal. And this is another great pro of us having waited so long to get this episode out. It's been confirmed that Darth Plagueis is Kymir's master. And so, you know, because like a lot of people are like, what is, like, we don't know, like we don't know.
Is he just hiding?
Yeah. Just hiding? Like, has he just like been watching them? Like, what's going on? Like, is he just creeping? Like, no, like he's Kymir's master, you know? So like, yeah, super
what
dope.
We've been expecting that he has a master actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's pretty insane.
Has a little twist regarding this whole Knights of Ren, Kylo Ren's theme teasing, because the root must be there as well.
Has to be.
Maybe as a side quest of Plagueis, or I don't know, but
I don't know, man, because
you like, cannot like,
I mean, they confirmed that it's Kylo's
they confirmed theme. Yeah,
so there's gonna be some tie in there. Yeah, dude, Darth Plagueis creeped me out. actually.
Yeah.
I still, whenever I rewatch it, I get chills during that scene. And I
Those
think,
fingers. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's because like the camera view is like our view from inside of the cave,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And then
And
counter
then,
shot.
and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like you don't like it's like who wants to be in that dark cave with Plagueis?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, like it's just so creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is the music, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's really
That's why we're
cool,
here.
that's why we're uh, that the music that we get is very reminiscent of, you guessed it, the opera where Palpatine
Mm-hmm.
is talking about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's these low voices, but they're not like resonant and polished and like serene kind of,
Mm-hmm.
like they're still creepy in
Mm-hmm.
episode 3, but they're like more like, I don't know, polished or something. This one, they're like more raw
Rob.
sounding.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it, but it's very creepy, and like it's like slight crescendo that they do. It's like, whoa, like just so creepy. So that was cool. And
Mm-hmm.
an obvious tie into Revenge of the Sith.
Sure. We saw Yoda as it's I somehow wished we didn't see him, but the
Yeah.
way it was presented was better than we saw than the end of Rogue One and Leia, because we saw her counter shot in her face, and I like that we didn't see Yoda's face and just his back.
Yeah. It
Because
keeps the like excitement or something.
yeah, because we have seen Yoda a lot, and it's just good to know that he's there, and Venestra needs some guidance that we don't need. I feel we don't need another Yoda action. It would be cool, but
Yeah.
this teases all I needed to have this confirmed. Yeah, obviously he's like already there.
Yeah, and let's talk about this really quick. So a lot of people are like upset about, I mean, just so many things. Like we don't need to talk about that, but let's talk about Yoda being here and Vernestra going to him, like, and what that means. So so what do you think is like going on? Like if we were to see that scene play out, for example, what do you think is happening there? Is Vernestra covering things up to Yoda, like lying to him? Is she going for advice and Yoda, she's spilling the beans and Yoda knows everything? Like, where do you think this is headed?
Good question, actually. It somehow feels like when Anakin goes to Yoda and it tells him about his visions, because Venestra has obviously some stuff she wants to cover with her former apprentice, which she confirmed in this episode. Yeah, she said it's
Mm-hmm.
her former apprentice.
Yep.
So she needs guidance, but doesn't say what's going on because she's too frightened or something.
It's interesting because she frames everything on Soul.
Yeah,
Like,
and Soul died.
I know. We'll talk about that in a second. There's some pretty cool stuff that happens during that musically. But yeah, I mean, like she frames everything on Soul. She is then she's going to be using May for her own tool to find Chimere and
Yeah,
stuff, but also like trying to hide all of this still too. Like she's very sketchy. And so her going to Yoda, it's like, what are you about to tell Yoda? Like what's going on here?
he knows what's going on, like not specifically, but in general, and her shrouded
Yeah.
being.
I think that's exactly what I think too. And then so combine that with do you remember that quote from the prequels where he's like, if inform the Senate is, multiply our adversaries will,
Yeah,
right? So he's very much against informing the Senate and stuff, and like trying to preserve their own way of doing things, like the Jedi, like their own way of doing things.
She's as well. She's
right. Exactly. So it's like a very interesting dynamic that we have with with Yoda here, Yoda being introduced here. So
and with her and the senator as well.
Yeah, totally. So, and I was talking my good friend Charlie, who's like a SOMP fan #1. We were talking about this and kind of like came up with some really cool insight, like just in this tiny like 2-second scene. So we were both in agreement on like if we were to see this scene play out, Yoda would have said something very similar to this. Again, like if informed this and it is, multiplier adversaries will. And what's crazy is like, and obviously the light that the Jedi is painted in here is like a negative one. And so Yoda kind of going along with things, if you will, it kind of adds another layer of tragedy to Yoda and like what he right, like of all of the things that he could reflect on after the events of Revenge of the Sith, like and the reasons why he goes into exile, like this would just be another thing, like another crucial set of events for him to reflect on, and like it just like adds another layer of tragedy, like it's just like he has so much to regret and think about, and it's like, wow, man, like
and to learn actually as well,
and to learn, you're right, and to learn. And it's like we were kind of joking, like Torben thought he had it tough, like Yoda, man, like so that was pretty cool, like just really adds a lot of depth to Yoda's character, however it's spun here, however that scene would play out. Like
maybe that's it in general.
Yeah,
would be cool for me as well. So
yeah, exactly. So anyway, what else?
We saw for the first time a kyber crystal going from like regular crystal to Sith or to meltdown.
We saw the bleeding of a kyber crystal in live action.
Bleeding, yeah, that's what I
was looking for. Yeah. I thought it was super dope.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of things because pardon me.
People are complaining that we didn't see it with Anakin, and it's just not
there
a
are
problem
explanations
for me.
For this.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
It's not a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. But even if it was a problem, it's explained in a variety of ways. One of which is in canon now. This has been introduced in comics like for years now. This isn't like they just did this last month to like work with the Acolyte. No, like this has been a thing in canon. In order to bleed a kyber crystal, it has to be exposed. Right? So Anakin, and I'm going to touch on Anakin more in a second, because that's assuming that Anakin's kyber crystal would have bled anyway during the events of Revenge of the Sith, right? We're going to talk about that. But yeah, so Anakin's kyber crystal wasn't exposed, obviously, during all of those events, right? Whereas Master Soul's hilt was damaged and the kyber was exposed here, and so forth. Now, the other like big thing that people were getting upset about is the lack of struggle. Like in a lot of comics we get, like with Kylo bleeding his crystal, with Vader bleeding crystals and stuff, there's an emphasis on how like almost like painful or like struggling.
How tough it is, yeah.
Yeah, how tough it is, right?
To make it stable or not stable in terms of Kylo Ren.
Right. And so there's I won't be able to articulate this as well as Sky Talkers podcast did, but they nailed it exactly. Basically, the difference between Osha's turn and Anakin's turn, in like Ben Solo's turn and so forth, is that for Osha, this like feeling of like turning to the dark side and everything, it felt like a release or like a freedom, right? And like a finally, I'm here and I am myself. Whereas with Anakin and Ben Solo, it was not that way. It was not a freeing thing. It was more of a shackled thing.
Going with a drag of the dark side.
Yeah. And so, right. And
even though Kylo was dragged to the light as well, what we saw for the first time, which is very interesting as well.
Well, right. And that's part of the thing, right? Like there is a war happening in them. You know, in Anakin, like we get glimpses of Anakin when he's Vader. You know, which I've talked about. We should do a whole episode about that. I have some breakdowns of kind of like Anakin's musical voice shining through during certain Vader scenes. And so, yeah, like we have this war happening there, and same thing with Kylo. You know, obviously there's this kind of like pull to the light and this kind of like friction. With Osha, man, there's no friction. It's just an absolute, like, it's like a freedom coming to the dark side in a way.
Yeah. Plus, we should not forget, I'm talking we as Star Wars fans, not us too. Osha and May are one person, split into two bodies.
Yes.
And this is a whole new way of explaining things. And by the way, I hope I said it on the record in our very first episodes about the Acolyte that Osha and may be switching places.
Yeah, and they did, right? Just like an eclipse happens, and we have like the passing and like the overlap, and then you know, kind of like the switching of whatever you'd call that. So yeah,
light and dark.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. That's the symbology that's happening here. So Osha is complete. You know, she's it's just a different. It's just a different thing than Anakin's fall and Kylo's rise. So I don't know, man. I don't know why people are so up in arms, which, like I said, we don't need to talk about it.
But, it's just good to focus on that. There's more added, which is new and has to be dealt different with than what we know. It's an addition. So it's not a conflict, it's an addition to the same topic.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of that scene, what is so cool, I've been waiting for this. So I think we all remember it was like in the very first episode end credits, we got that that kind of thing. So that is now looking at the track lists, that theme is called An Acolyte. Is what Michael Abels has titled it. And we've heard that, you know, throughout the Acolyte show. That theme, you know, like the main theme of that is very reminiscent of Kylo's theme. It's not exactly Kylo's theme, but very reminiscent of it. And we finally get that theme played during the during the episode in a full way, whenever Osha's lightsaber is officially bleeding red, and she, you know, it's kind of like pointing at Chimere. That theme plays in full fashion, and it's like, oh yeah, like,
oh yes,
you know, she's obviously the you know, she is the Acolyte, and it's just so cool to have like that theme. You know, it's kind of like that's her theme now. She's on the dark side, or maybe it's more like her and Chimere's theme. I don't know, but yeah, what are your thoughts?
I have a general thought about this Acolyte thing and this whole Plagueis, Chimere, Osha, like hierarchy. Is it hierarchy?
Hierarchy.
Hierarchy, yeah. It's confusing. English is confusing.
It is.
All the time. Because does Plagueis know about Chimere's ways of going with Osha and May. Because Sith has always been two, but there has always been assassins because the master has to be dealt with from down below.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because like, if I mean, yeah, it just kind of adds more mystery to like Plagueis's presence in the cave because like you'd think if this were an issue, Chimera would be a lot more secretive about it. Like they're pretty out in the open, like in the Cortosis cave like location. It's like you think he'd be a little more careful there, but
at the same time, this whole vergence that created May and Osha is totally a Plagueis way of putting things.
Exactly. Now, yeah, exactly. And that's what my thought has been is like Plagueis is instructing Chimera to harness this power, right?
Yeah.
And
it's an experiment.
It's an experiment, right? And so that has been my thought as well after the finale is like this, it's not an issue because this is actually like Plagueis instructing Chimera on like things that he should be doing and like what the goals are and stuff. So Chimera, in working with Osha and May, he's working for Plagueis, really. So yeah, that's my thought at the moment.
Yeah.
And
it opens again up this whole topic of, is Chimera a Sith or not?
Right.
Because what he said, it was, you might call me a Sith, but he doesn't define himself, which makes a huge difference again to what people are talking about.
Yeah.
From what we know.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense in this whole Knights of Ren thing again as well. They are not Sith, obviously.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I guess the moral of the story here, everyone, is it just takes a little bit of creative thought and imagination to enjoy things that you're initially confused about. Like I think that people.
Man, I like when I'm confused in Star Wars. I mean, in general, but I like when I'm confused and have to think about how does this new mosaic fits into the whole picture. Because when I like that it is not on the nose, that we have to think about it and to reflect on it and to get back to it, to rewatch it, to have different new approaches or developments going on.
Right.
And it is so well thought through that it has to be logical. And in Star Wars logic. I'm talking Star Wars logic.
Yeah. Totally, man. And like obviously like Dave Filoni and crew were all in on this as well. So like they're telling a story and it's tying together. And yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see in season 2, fingers crossed.
Yes. I guess I just want to say in general that this show is the approaches are very brave to go on new paths. And I like that a lot because it's just what George Lucas said, which is the best thing to do if you have a vision, to not be guided by the fans, but by a vision. And that's what's happening here. And what takes time to process for like the majority of Star Wars fans. And it's a perfect setting because it is 100 years before the stuff we already know.
Right.
And so there's some freedom going on and some seeds planted for what we will see later on. Also, depending on.
Totally. Right. Yeah. No, totally, man. Yeah. Well, I guess to keep trucking here, we hear the new Osha theme whenever she's killing Soul. So, which is right before the Acolyte theme plays when she points the lightsaber
Mm-hmm.
at Chimere. So that is like, like just the combination of those two themes, like those are OSHA's themes now. I
Is
love
it
that.
that
Yep.
one?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So, like I love these new themes for OSHA, and it's so cool to have a new theme introduced. Like it's like a completely new theme. It's
Yeah.
not like
Mm-hmm.
we actually do get the recurring theme that we had like for like most of the season. We do get the sad iteration of that whenever May's mind is being wiped. So that's kind of cool. And like I'm like staying away from talking about the Boonta Tree scene because there's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
so much. There's like an hour's
Yeah.
worth of stuff to talk
Yeah.
about with that.
Well,
Um,
let's talk about the memory wipe for a second because it is
sure.
so heartbreaking. Because
Yeah.
she's just at the point where OSHA has been before, not knowing anything. And it just I mean we saw the mind tricks, the heavy mind tricks of the Jedi while interrogating inmates,
Mhm.
and it's just actually a brutal way of treating people. In
Right.
this case to shroud your traces.
Hmm. Yeah, dude, I legitimately thought that OSHA was going to kill May when she like was hugging her.
Hmm.
I thought it was gonna be like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like a
Like
Kylo
the
Han Solo
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like waiting for that to happen, which arguably could have been really neat actually, because then Vernestra could have just, oh well, May killed herself, or whoever she thinks
Mm-hmm.
this person is. I can't remember if she thinks it's Osher or May, but whoever. Oh well, she killed herself at the
Yeah.
scene of the crime or whatever. Just like Soul did.
Would be interesting in general to see if the other person or soul or whatever can survive without the other one, you know? Just
Yeah.
like the witches died when Indara came in to
Hmm.
to uh to save Kalnaka.
Yeah, like they're all threaded together.
Yeah, yeah, threaded. That's the
Very,
word. Yeah.
very interesting. I wonder if that was like a known thing and probably why they didn't kill May.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that.
I it would make sense.
It would make complete sense. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, me too.
That's super cool. I love that. Yeah, we'll see like how that all goes down. But yeah, that was cool. Honestly, like just like the emotion throughout the finale
Mm-hmm.
was like so impactful. I think more
Yeah.
so than any of the previous episodes. Amandla absolutely delivered, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
She, like throughout the season, um, most of the time she's been pretty like ambiguous feeling, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is on purpose. But like in her like person and
And
in this
stances.
right, and in this
Mm-hmm.
episode, it's just like a full broad spectrum of emotion, and like it's like you're seeing her
Mm-hmm.
real self without the
Mm-hmm.
shell, and that totally came through to me like on
Mm-hmm.
screen. Like she absolutely delivered. I also thought, like, just speaking of emotion, I'm just like looking at my notes here, trying to fly through these, but speaking of emotion, pretty much every like all of the scenes on Brindock where they're like
Mm-hmm.
in the overgrown space where like one of those traumatic events happened, like Soul is standing there like reflecting on something, and then like May is standing there reflecting on something, and like OSHA's reflecting on things like in their own like areas walking around Brindock. Just, oh man, like each of those was like really emotional to me for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of it was the music, which I need to go back and check out, but yeah, this is just like a really like emotional episode for me. um and not like also epic too.
Yes. And I'm so I fell so in love with the character of Soul, and it was so hard to see him die, but it was at the same time a relief for him because he has been in denial, obviously,
Yeah.
and like all of the other guys, he's dead now. Like the
Yeah.
initial Jedi group is dead.
Yeah.
And this past is dead in this way too.
Yeah. It was just heartbreaking, you know, like this little kid that he loved so much.
Yeah.
And does he say it's okay and then
Mm-hmm.
she kills him, or is it as he's dying? I can't
I
remember.
think it's before.
Yeah, it's like he's like it's
Yeah.
okay, but then she's
Yeah.
like I don't care, and like then
Yeah.
kills him, and like I think that's how
Yeah.
it goes. Like God, dude, so just heart-wrenchingly awful.
Because it's,
Um,
you know, he was doing things that have been wrong, but in the right intention. And this makes it so much more heartbreaking because it is so, you know, he was trying real hard to be a good Jedi and be a good person.
that's the thing. It's like being a good person might look different than what being a good Jedi means. I
Yes.
think that's kind of like the big
Yeah.
message that they're
Yeah.
getting at. So yeah, man, pretty cool, like philosophical stuff that they're
Yeah,
getting
totally.
into with this
Totally.
that they're introducing. Um, one thing that I want to mention about really quick as well is um, let's see. Hmm. After May's mind wipe, and we have Osha take Kamir's hand, we get an echo, like a little hint of the Acolyte theme. So like right there, like they're
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like foreshadowing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, like we already talked about all of the events that happen after that, but at the very end of the finale, when we get Osha and Chimera together at sunset, we actually get Osha's new theme overlaid with the Acolyte theme. Like they're at the same time, which
Mm-hmm.
is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And also exactly what Michael Apos kind of hints at with the end titles, although they are a little more separated. Like we have Osha's main theme, like beautiful, like soaring,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes into like a final iteration of the Acolyte
Mm-hmm.
thing. So, but yeah, like whenever they're holding hands at the sunset, we get both themes overlapping, which is just so much fun. And then one last thing on my notes is um, the underscoring whenever Vernestra is talking to whoever that is on the comm. I don't know. I need to go back and listen to the underscoring because like there's been a lot of speculation. Like, who is she talking to? Is it just a nobody? Like, is it just like a receptionist or something? You know, like
Mm-hmm.
she's trying to make a meeting with Yoda. Like that's a totally
Mm-hmm.
plausible theory. Or is she talking to someone else? And like before she talks to Yoda, and like she's kind of having this like double agent moment here. There's
Hmm.
been that speculation too, and
Ding
so
ding
I
ding 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 ding
yeah,
ding ding.
and specifically the reason there's speculation is because the voice coming through the comm sounds a lot like Ian McDiarmid.
Hmm. Hmm. But this doesn't make sense, does it?
I don't know. I don't know yet, but I need to listen to the music during that. I haven't got a chance to yet to like give me some more something else to hold on to or like dig into because I don't know.
But how? Just
I don't know.
how?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
what's the perfect quote? Some to consider unnatural. Could be a matter of age as well, but yeah.
Dude, I don't know, but I think the music will hopefully give us something. Either tell us it's a nothing burger or it'll tell us something's crazy here,
Yeah.
So I need to go back and check that out.
Yeah.
I have a
Interesting.
lot of things on my list.
Hmm.
But
It
that's
will
everything
be
I have.
a good run to binge it,
Yes.
like have a different experience than we had from week to week.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like it feels relieving.
We should do a watch along actually
That would be fun.
for some episodes. You can do that on Disney Plus.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should do that. Yeah, it's been relieving to kind of I don't know how to say it properly, but like instead of rushing to like get everything out as quickly as possible, I'm like, yeah, like instead of being part of like the mad rush, it has been relieving to be like, yeah, like Acolyte's over. We can take our time like going through this stuff, like we don't have a deadline to like talk about everything this week so that we can be prepared to like digest next week. Like it's all out. So
in our defense, it is somehow takes more time and effort to dive into the music side of this show. Because it has more levels of understanding what's going on and drawing lines.
Yeah, that's true.
Instead of just going for the storyline or anything.
Right.
It's just different, probably, but maybe it's harder. I don't know. Doesn't matter actually. There is one thing I have in my notes from the pursuit. There was one moment where there was a very strong Rogue Squadron vibe.
Oh, fun.
So we've talked about this in a previous episode about the favorite video game soundtracks. And maybe I'll have to extract that, but I was one moment when I saw it, I was like, oh, that sounds really like Rogue Squadron.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, fun.
The chase was actually fun in general, to have Soul going directly into the asteroids and going nuts. And
dude, he lost it, right?
Yeah, like a bloodhound.
And freaking Basil, Mortis FM made this.
What's going on?
Mortis FM made this joke, or at least I think it was Mortis FM. It was either them or Beyond the Dune Sea, but someone made the joke how Basil is like the single most threat to the Sith, and like and also like just like a master saboteur. Like he's like a rogue, like because he he sabotages the ship because he's like, he knows Master Soul. He's been kind of watching Master Soul like deteriorate in what's the right word, in like focus or like judgment, and so like just watching Master Soul like just driving or flying rather over these asteroids, like about to ram May's ship, like Basil's like, no, like how about we just don't do this. But also a good point about this is that Basil saw Chimere helmetless.
True.
And is still alive.
Yeah.
So Basil's a threat, you all.
But is he an independent contractor, or is he a pet of the Jedi? Or what?
Yeah, we never found that out, did we? I know we talked about that. I don't know, man. But
Basil is a legend.
You gotta watch out for Basil. That's everything I have, dude.
Yeah. That's enough for one episode, I guess.
I think that's enough. Yeah, like we will, everyone listening to this, wanting more deep dives into these themes and stuff, like trust me, we will. But this is just like our opportunity for a post finale review.
Yeah.
So
and I like how much it is as it was in the previous episode, accompanied by footage, by interviews, explaining somehow, or like just saying what they've been working on.
Yeah. And now it's all out, like now we have everything and it's set up really nicely. There's not a single thing that I'm like not okay with story-wise. It just takes a little bit of imagination and creative thinking, and you can get there. Yeah, I don't know. Um,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure we'll get a second season
I hope so,
because
man.
it's the third post I've seen with like saying good streaming numbers, and
I hope so, man.
it was a brave move to like pull this project through, and it would be a good opportunity to make a second season
I
in
would,
the mid near future, I think.
yeah. And I
Because we
would,
have some bigger things, not bigger things, but different things going on with the Mandalorian Grogu movie, which is
mhm,
starting in production these days.
right.
Um, but there's time to explore more of this.
Yeah. And I hope that they release it differently as well, instead of like, um, releasing one episode at a time. I kind of hope that we get a more of a Stranger Things release of things, where they kind of like release several episodes at once, and then like you wait a while, and then you get like the next set of episodes. Like I
Oh,
would
yeah,
rather
I see.
that release style, honestly.
Like a bunch of three episodes going and then another three
Yeah, or I think
or
even like
anything.
I
Yeah.
think Stranger Things did like half of the season
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true.
and
I
then
think
waited a
that's
while,
true.
and then
Yeah.
like the next half, and then waited a while, and then the finale. I think that's how it went. Um,
I mean, yeah, one of the downsides of bringing one episode a week is there is too much speculation somehow, and especially when the episodes are made like as a couple or as a triplet, they should be watched as a triplet
yeah,
or as a couple.
I agree. There was a lot of, it felt a lot like that. Like, oh, these go together and then these go together, you know.
It was like an Andor.
Yeah. Now the speculation was fun for the most part, like for the people who were having fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
true. But
you
it's
know, but
you know you should be aware of that. It's a totally different experience of
yeah,
enjoying the new stuff.
yes,
And both has its charm,
that's true.
and but you have to know that it's different how you watch it actually.
Yeah, it was just an exhausting couple of months, you know, like, or however long it was, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I don't know, but
Yeah,
it was just exhausting, man. But I don't know.
it I had fun,
It
and
was fun.
I
We had
was
fun
just
on SOMP. We had some
yeah.
fun.
It's it's yeah
Yeah.
yeah. We don't need to explain why.
No.
But
We yeah.
I'm actually grateful for that to be to setting the mood with an open mind to explore what's going on and what we just
Yeah.
said earlier to explore what we do not understand
Yeah.
instead of going that doesn't make any sense or that's not Star Wars anymore. And I've heard those not
Yeah, like
arguments a lot.
just it's just a little bit of imagination and
Yeah,
creative thinking, and we can get there, you know. So
yeah.
yeah, man.
Sweet. Let's
Well,
wrap this up.
let's wrap it up. Everyone, thanks for tuning in to SOMP. Everyone go subscribe to our YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
Space Opera Music Podcast, and go follow us on Instagram at the same Space Opera Music Podcast. Leave us some like reviews, send us messages, send us suggestions or recommendations of things. Like, we're all ears. We are full steam ahead. We still have quite a few Q&A topics to dig through, you know, to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we'll be wrapping those up in the next few weeks, and lots of fun stuff. Lots of fun stuff planned. So it's a blast hanging out with you all as always. And um, yeah, with that, I guess that's it. May the force be
That's
with
it.
you.
Always.